Welcome to Soul Elevation, guiding your ascension to new heights. I'm your host, Kara Goodwin, and I'm so excited for you to hear this amazing episode with Melissa Jolly Graves. Melissa blew listeners away with her first appearance in episode 554, and there were so many additional directions we could have taken with the conversation, so I was really happy to get the chance to explore more with her. In this episode, we go much deeper into the intelligence of water and her work with Veda Austin. She telepathically channels a beautiful and important message from the nonverbal autist she was communing with telepathically during our recording. We also talk about the trajectory we're on for healing our Earth. There's a lot to take in from our time together. You're going to love this episode. Melissa Jolly Graves is a pioneering nurse scientist, healer, and consciousness researcher whose life work bridges science, spirituality, and human resilience. A licensed practical nurse and master teacher in 24 healing modalities, Melissa is the founder of Euphoric Source, a healing center and research lab recognized for its groundbreaking integration of energy work with advanced scientific measurement tools, including EKGs, thermal imaging, blood work, and brain scans. Currently, she's collaborating with several beyond verbal telepaths, water researcher Veda Austin and filmmaker Deborah Anderson on projects exploring the consciousness of water, telepathic gifts, and Earth. Quickly before we dive in, I want to invite you to explore everything available for you at karagoodwin.com. It's a sanctuary of support for your spiritual journey. You'll find my book, Your Authentic Awakening, a beautiful library of free guided meditations and resources to help you deepen your connection with your higher self. And I want to say a heartfelt thank you for supporting the show. Your likes, comments, shares, and subscriptions genuinely help this work reach more people. When you engage, you uplift the frequency of the content and make it easier for others to find these conversations. All right, let's begin. Enjoy this episode. Well, welcome, Melissa. I'm so excited to have you back on the podcast again today. Thank you so much for being on Soul Elevation again.
Thank you so much. Loved your questioning, loved your vibes, loved your style. So I had to come back.
Oh, we had such a great time. And I remember saying when we were recording, I was like, God, I could talk to you forever. I felt like there was so much that we didn't get to. And so I'm really excited to do this with you again today. So episode 554, if people haven't listened to that one, you don't want to miss it. It was an exceptional episode. But there may be people who are hearing this one who haven't heard that one yet. So I wanted to start with just a quick overview of your background and expertise. And I know there's a huge breadth, but if you had to whittle it down a little bit.
Oh my gosh, that's what I've been trying to do over the last year. What does Melissa Jolly Graves do? Well, at the core of it, today I really was sitting in the bath and I was thinking like, who am I? What am I? And realistically, I think it comes down to a spiritual representative. I'm here to represent spirit, not represent humanity. I'm here to represent creator and all the guides and earth, water, what our truest potential could be if we tapped into it and embraced the spiritual nature within our human body. So I think maybe spiritual representative is what I'm going to be going with, which also entails healing, reading, telepathic communication, so much. But I think it really kind of encompasses all that I need. So that's what I'm going with. Here we go on your show. That's my title I'm claiming.
You need to get some business cards.
Yeah.
Spiritual ambassador, spiritual representative. I love it. And that's a great all-encompassing. And I'm glad you touched on some of your expertise because you know so much about so much and your skills are incredible. I've got to testify again. I know I testified in the last episode, but I had such an amazing experience when we had our one-to-one, which was before we had our episode. You didn't know me. I mean, you really didn't know me. And you were just so spot on with such specific things. So just amazing. And then you do healing work. You go into the consciousness of water. You do telepathic things. You are really an ambassador for nonverbal, beyond verbal, traditionally called nonverbal autistics. And there's just so much. I mean, you invented a fungi. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like there's the it just blows my mind. It blows my mind. So thank God you're here.
yeah, yeah. Diane Hennessy Powell, she says, try to show me what Melissa doesn't do, and you're
Yeah.
probably going to have a shorter list than what I do, because
Right.
she'll bring me around and, oh, I know about angels and demons. I do exorcisms. I do this. So that's why I'm just going spiritual, and I like the spiritual ambassador. I even like that too. But yeah, I'm just here for whatever spirit needs me to do. I mean, and that's
Yeah.
really it.
Yeah.
Whatever capacity that is, running festivals or running retreats or doing the autism thing. I mean, it's all over. It's whatever spirit needs me to do, and I never know what I'm going to do week from week, day to day, even half the time because of that.
Yeah, wow. Well, last time we didn't really get to talk about the consciousness of water that much. We talked a little bit about it, but you have been doing work with Veda Austin. And sometimes I come across people who don't know who she is, which blows my mind. I'm like, how have you not heard about Veda Austin? Because she is taking she's it's different from Dr. Emoto's work. I feel like everybody by now knows Dr. Emoto, but it's she's just taken it to a different level, and she's getting this communication with water, and it's fascinating. It's so fascinating how water is showing that it's holding the intention, or it's holding the communication, and then she does this flash freezing method, and it's she gets amazing results. If you're listening and you don't know who this is, I recommend starting at on her Instagram account, Veda Austin. You're going to get your mind blown. And but she you can learn her technique. You can do it yourself. And but how did you get involved in that work?
So it all started with telepathy tapes and being a part of that. Veda and Ryan got into telepathy tapes. Veda does some work with Diane Powell, and Diane had mentioned it a while back, and when we were doing the filming for Signal, prior to it being telepathy tapes. So when telepathy tapes came out, people started kind of talking about Diane, and Veda, Ryan, her husband, started listening to telepathy tapes, and Veda was kind of at a standstill. I mean, she knows all the amazing things that water can do, and she wants to showcase its story in the most magnificent, beautiful way. I always say I love Emoto. I followed Emoto. I've done a lot of water work myself, and Veda Austin is Dr. Moto on like 10 different types of steroids. She's not on steroids, so don't publicly say that. But
I get
comparison is kind of like,
yeah.
okay, Rocky to the Hulk, Well, thank you for the expression of getting us there, but uh, she is just she's blown them out of the water, and works
So
with
to
various
speak.
other people also, and yeah, blow it out of the I love that. Pun intended. No, and thank you, Emoto, for doing your work. I mean, and we're huge fans. So anyway, she just kind of she knew what water could do. She was seeing all of the potential, and for a brief, very brief moment, maybe 3 questions, she had used Chat GPT and realized, AI is not for me, but I'm missing something that I can't find in books, that I can't find in water. There's so much more. What is it? So as they're listening to the telepathy tapes, her husband Ryan looks over at her and says, "What if we use some of the artists to channel some of that water?" So she got a hold of Diane and had put a message out. Hey, we're wanting to do this. There was a lovely lady, Mitch Carpenter, who is just tipping her toes into the telepathic, but just enough. She gets it, and she's trusted. And she was also working with Veda, and so through Diane, through Mitch, my name got tossed through, and once Veda had started working with me and the children that we had, Elsa, Brandon, at that time Noah and Adriana, was on it, and then a guy Mick, and we were all just talking, and I speak fluid telepathy. For me, it's just the same as conversation. I mean, there's a little bit more to it, and a different kind of conversation, but it's still a conversation. And that's how Veda just said, wow, okay, can we ask them this question? And with each question from all of the autists, and why we call them autists, is Veda said, should I call you autistic? Should I say you have autism? What do I say? And they said, we would prefer autist, because then it's still the autism, but we don't have, an autistic, but it has a different artist style. It has a different ambiance to it, per se. So we're calling them autists in our particular uh, screening of the water telepathy and ancient wisdom. So that is how she ended up finding us, is through that. And now it's just been, every question has been answered. It seems like an endless, what does she call it? She changed the name on us. I think she's saying original intelligence, or biological intelligence is what she's saying now, because we were saying open intelligence, but people then started using open intelligence for, well, AI is open intelligence. So now we're saying biological intelligence. So she wants to impact not only water, but the biological intelligence of people, to say, if we go in and we truly go in, we have all of the resources, we have all of that knowledge. And we're seeing that with the autists. They're so out of body that they have such a wider, bigger spectrum that they can cover so much more that we don't have the ability. Because the thing with the people that I speak with on the telepathic channel is they can only telepathically speak to somebody to the limitation of their knowledge. And what that means is, I'm not going to be somebody they're going to come and talk trigonometry to. I don't know trigonometry, so they don't come and speak trigonometry to me. But they can speak about plants, they can speak about water, and those kind of things. So with the information that we're getting, some of the stuff is so advanced in the information, because there's no books, there's no scientific stuff, there's nothing. So we are actually setting a new base with them as they're coming in and saying, this is now a part of water. I mean, we now have 10 steps of water that we never saw, or 10 states that we never saw before. We were sitting at 4 or 5, and now we have all these other things that we're actually needing to do new scientific evidence. We're needing new studies. We're having to set a new base so that everybody has this knowledge, and then we can bounce off that to level up to where they're wanting to talk about. I mean, they're going as far back as the filaments in the water, and what that meant, and how the water was separated in the filaments, the conversations that happen in clouds, how plasma is an activator of consciousness. And that's one thing that they're starting to talk about plasma, and that's far beyond anything that I've read in a book, anything that I've seen. And so I'm having a hard time comprehend some of that, because how do you bring into words, into our language, things that aren't even able to be spoken about in our world yet?
Wow. Okay. I need to make a couple of notes so I don't lose, because I want to keep on this track. And when you started talking about the autists, I saw this bright in my peripheral vision, this bright spark. And I know they're around you a lot telepathically. So and I can edit this out. I don't want to put you on the spot if it's nothing, but I'm like, well, that was weird. I don't know if there was a relation, like if that was just a mind vision thing that happened for a second, or if there's some like correlation between you talking about the autists and that.
Well, definitely when I talk about them, they're around and you're not the first one. We actually have it on Alexec where he couldn't stop seeing them. They were just kept sparking up all over the point. So that's how I know when they're in the room. And that's how I know when what I'm hearing is right, what I'm saying is right, is I'll actually get those sparks of affirmation. And that's just me penetrating deeply into my spirituality and allowing the veils of humanity to come off. And in that conversation, you were listening soulfully, you were listening spiritually, so the veils came off a little bit of that humanity so that you could see some of their light. I mean, when I'm looking around, it just looks like sparkles to me. I tell everyone it just looks like these little like glitter, snow glitter that's not snow. Little pinpoints that just they peer up like, okay, you're onto something, and then they pull back. You got it. Bye. Yeah. Yep.
I
Nope.
love that.
That happens all the time. All the time.
Wow. Well, that is amazing. I mean, it was because I'll see what I call sparkles sometimes, especially against the sky. And it's just like you say, the pinpoints. This was, I mean, this was like a flash, but as a pinpoint, but it was more than what I normally see. So I was very interested in that. So that's beautiful.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yep. Nope. I get that a lot. That's how the autists will show up. That's how angels will show up, is they start with that little spark, and then that's where I know to look. And then all of a sudden they start to appear. So
Wow.
very often get that. Yep.
That's
If you
amazing.
start seeing shadows and stuff, don't be worried about that. That just means that their expression just expanded.
Wow. Well, there, even when you were talking just now, I could see something again out of the corner. It was, but I'm like, I think maybe it's on my eyelash. Like, I don't know. You try to kind of find rational ways to explain it, but it was there for longer. And I was like, I'm not even going to try to look right at it because I know, like your eyes see different in the peripheral than dead ahead. So, but yeah, and I still don't know. Maybe it was some reflection off of my eyelash that I haven't seen the rest of the day for somehow, but
I love that you're bringing that point up. When you see things from your peripheral, a lot of times, I mean, they're real, but when people look over at them, it's out of fear, shock, or excitement. And so it ends up flipping you out so you can't fully see. So when you're doing that and you start to see the sparks and you start to see those things from the peripheral, uh, do exactly what you did. Don't look into it and say, hey, are you really there? I'm not afraid. Because those kind of things that come like that, they're not the scary things. Those are the things that they want the good things for you. That's why they're coming with the light, and that's why they're coming to the side rather than trying to scare you right away. So if you open up that to say, okay, I see you, I acknowledge you, and you don't look right away, then one, it takes away the fear. Two, it starts to train you. And three, it brings you into a state of awareness. That is a really fast track way to get to consciousness and spirituality. And it's such a quick trick that people don't understand, but it really gets you there because it trains you not to react to things that are outside of our world, but it also invites them to say, okay, we are in the training process. We can come closer and closer. And eventually, they get to that point where they get in front of you when they're not, when you're not afraid. But that is a huge spiritual or conscious doorway that is happening on those peripherals that people choose to shut or open depending on how, much they want to dive in.
wow. Well, thank you for that. That's amazing already. I'm like, I have such high expectations now when I'm with you, and I'm like, already, you're like, I'm just loving it. So you talked about plasma, and I would love to dig a little bit deeper into that because I have heard that water, a part of, we're all evolving, humanity is evolving, the planet is evolving, and water will step into this new form. What can you tell us about plasma, and if you even see it being that way, or if this is just a different state of water? But can you explain a little bit what plasma is and how it's different from water and the importance of it?
Well, essentially, I mean, down to the basic, plasma is a gas, and that gas is a reactive gas depending on what it's merged with, i.e., electricity or magnets, chemicals, and it will react differently based on all of that. Now, when it comes to water, I don't believe that plasma is a state of water, but we are finding that plasma is in water if water is what is called alive water. Now, Veda very much wants to change this, but it's been embedded so much into science that this is just the terms that has been accepted. Is we call water without plasma dead water, and that's the actual science term. There's nothing, no energy in it. Life form cannot be taken off from it. It cannot. It basically does nothing. It's a swamp water that has potential, but nothing that is sparking it to be in its creative process. So it would be useless water. Now Veda, of course, she does not like that, but I have to state it because it is science and it's important to talk about, the different states, because water always does carry, and we can see with her evidence of the freezing technique, is that all water has potential to still speak, to adapt, hold memory, future, past. It can mimic, reflect. There's so much that it can do. Just because it cannot provide life, is it really dead though? And that's where, something that we're kind of looking into now. Living water, the more alive a water is, the more plasma it has. So when we see live water, we know that it's going to heal. We know that it's going to be able to give life. We know that it's going to be able to nourish. It's not taking life. And that is really based on a lot of the plasma that it does have. Prior to this world, there had to have been a different substance other than water to get everything started, because water in itself is not necessarily electric, nor is it necessarily magnetic unless we have added substance. So, where were we getting this electricity from? Well, from what we're seeing and what we're feeling and what is being stated by the autist, as well as what we have seen in science, it appears that water and plasma were indeed the two substances that existed, as well as water being here in over 90% of the world of our body. We have a world that has 99% plasma also, and our bodies are mostly plasma. So when you look at, religion in multiple different religions, it was creator in the darkness and with water. And it's stated in 106 of those different religions across the board, darkness and water. So what was that spark? In a lot of it, it says creator spoke, creator moved, creator danced, creator expressed, whatever it was, there was some movement. I do believe firmly that that movement was what caused the plasma to move, which then allowed the water to move. And when the water and plasma comes together, now we have electromagnetic energy. We have living energy that we can make life from, we can make form from, and it has a way to enter into a system that now quantumly communicates to each other. Plasma can move anywhere. Water can connect to water from anywhere that it is. So when we have plasma through movement, we have water that can connect on all different language. We have a conscious system that is connected to the entire whole, which is why humanity will never be able to live without water or plasma, as we need them both for conscious expression. Coming together when the plasma hits the water, now we have an avenue where we can start having momentum of experience. The plasma causes momentum to happen. It keeps the movement going. It keeps the flow, and it's always bouncing off of each other. It's always trying to expand. So we have that movement. But water itself is what stores the information of the experience. So plasma cannot hold memory. It can hold energy and movement, but you cannot ask plasma to ever recreate what happened in my past, what's going to happen in the future. It is not stating yes or no. It does not know how to write. It does not know how to have letters. You have no constant whatsoever in plasma. So it's not able to retain energy. Where water, I can show it letters and it knows how it will freeze and say words, yes, no, whatever I ask it. It can hold the expression of the energy. If I ask, what was grandma's favorite food, it might show me the favorite food. It might show, it can. Veda asked, about what was going to happen in Germany, and there was this plane there, and her husband is a plane pilot. And so it showed that she was going to be made this plane pilot. So it tells the future. It can adapt. It can do all the things. So together they need each other, because water would not have expression without plasma, but plasma would not be able to be expressed without water itself.
Wow. That's amazing. It does make me, well, it makes me think about the different dimensions that we engage with here in, because you talk about humanity and we're talking about earth, but of course you're also connected with the angelic realm, for example, and there are other realms that aren't as physical as ours. Has any of your research been in the multidimensionality of either of those components, water or plasma?
Um, we have yet to do the actual studies on the angelics, or things outside of ourselves. That is something that we are really trying to work for, and working with Diane Hennessy Powell. That is exactly what we're trying to strive for. How can we show that angels, demons, even extraterrestrials, how can we show an expression of their consciousness? And is it real on this world? How do we know that they're there? And once we find that out, which we believe that we have found the formula for consciousness in this realm, and I think we talked about that maybe before, but again, in this realm means earth, because we don't know is, and it's based on plasma and water, and I'll say that, based on the plasma and water, which is why we can't go to Mars and do the same thing, because they don't have water like we have water. And so the conscious expression and formula would be completely different for their planet than for us. Now, it is something that we are looking for different funding for. It is, how do we get the equipment? How are we doing this? And we hope that soon we will be able to actually show not only human consciousness, but have the adaptive equipment to be able to catch different things in a room and say, yes, there was a conscious expression that was here by an angel, and we captivated it and we caught it. And not only did we catch that there was consciousness, but what was that conscious expression? And so when we don't have the medical equipment that has caught that, we're not now needing to develop that. And with that, unfortunately, comes the funding side of how are we going to get the funding? How are we going to get that? We have spaces for labs, we have places, but again, we're going to be building this equipment on our own. And how do you how do you sell that to people? Oh, we're going to try to build an equipment that catches angels and demons and their point of consciousness. It's kind of hard to write that up right now. So that's something that we're working on and hoping that the advancement will happen, because a lot of us that are in the telepathic world, we're not here to prove telepathy. We're not here to prove consciousness. I mean, if you're listening to us, you already know that. We're here to go beyond that and to capture conscious expression, to even be able to test different gurus or different people by their conscious uh data. I mean, to say, well, I'm conscious, and you go and read a book and now you're putting that out to the world. Well, yeah, I'm this big guru, I'm whatever. I forgot what the exact documentary was, but some gentleman did that where they just read one book and said, I'm going to go be a guru. And it was a whole documentary that he did where he opened up a retreat center and he was having people come in for yoga. He was doing spiritual advisory. People were following him all across the world. and he just read this one book on how to fake it till you make it kind of thing. And he ended up telling everybody at the end, this is fake. But all these people had this spiritual journey and they believed it. And he was, the point of that is anybody could sell you anything. But if you don't really know if the person is consciously aware, then you're just following BS, and it's just everything that you're pulling from yourself. So now we can be able to say, how consciously aware are you? If we get this equipment and we get the formula, I mean, the formula is down, it's just getting the study down, which we have the study pretty much down. We just need a few more things. But I could put you in a room and I could say, how consciously aware, put this formula in, do the quantum testing, check your plasma, check your water, check your weight, your HVR, the heart to brain, and how that reacts, kind of thing. And then your EEG, we would then be able to see how aware and how conscious somebody is, not just them saying it, but it would be a sort of IQ test quantumly done on consciousness.
That would be so interesting and so exciting. And it makes me think of the possibilities of the future, even as the human mechanism, the human technology within us becomes more awake. So, in the last episode, we talked about your human technology and your ability to tune into the energy, and you see the energy around people. So I think about like elections, and being able to see, to perceive beyond the words, because we know at this point we can't trust the words. They're meaningless. They're going to say
Right.
whatever they want to say. But if you can see, is what they're saying true? Do they believe what they're saying, or are they just saying this because they know that this is one more step to get them into office? So I think about, as we evolve, we can hopefully, more and more people will turn on those abilities, and then you can't get away with, the you can't get away with saying things that you have no intention of making possible, or you can't lie through your teeth because it's going to be obvious. You can see the energy, and the energy doesn't match. They're out of alignment or whatever it might be. So it's really exciting to think that, well, if that takes longer than than we need, maybe there's some actual technology that can help us to be able to get some, quantification there of, okay, is this person lining up with what they're saying? It's amazing.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, the whole quantum scale would be able to energetically be able to see that too, and that's what we're trying to make, is how do you make how do you make this system that quantumly starts to scan your biofeedback,
Yeah.
and how do you catch that, and what does that look like, and are we catching air particles? Are we catching actual photons? Are we catching poisons? Like, what are we actually catching, and how do we put that into a data? And that's where we're at right now. But I have full faith that we've made every other system work. We're going to make this system work too.
That's so exciting. So, when you were talking about the structured water versus quote unquote dead water, um, are there any practical things that you want to share with people in terms of their own consumption of water and how to be more intentional and strategic with what they're taking in, what they're showering with and bathing with, and so forth, to make sure that it is as high consciousness or as structured, or however you want to think about it, as it can be?
Sure. Well, I can say, it's very hard to have full control over water these days with so many chemicals coming in through the different cities. I know my friend does water testing, and they only test the water going out. They don't necessarily test all the water coming in, which means that any water that comes into their plant, they treat the same way. And they'll do treatment, then they'll test to make sure that it's okay going out. Now, that being said, it might have gone to 3 different water treatment centers, and all of them are doing the same. dumping the chemicals, doing the test, dumping the chemicals, doing the test. So by the time it gets to us, we have now gone through 3 other water chemical points, and now ours is the 4th. So that water being distributed is very low vitamins, low minerals. It does strip from a lot of the plasma. So there's a few different things that we can do. And one thing that is the easiest, simplest thing is talking to your water. Anyone can talk to the water. Water, we can tell 100% it understands us. It responds. We know this in working with Veda. She asks it questions and it always responds. I have even asked it questions such as, is my cancer going to go away? And it actually wrote out YEAH. So we're seeing that it is very responsive to the questions. If it's responsive to the questions, and we've seen with Omoto's work that it's also responsive to the words. So when we speak to water, we change the structure. Gratitude and thankfulness is actually the highest emotion that you can get. It trumps love. It trumps anything else. So saying thank you to your water does wonders. To say, I love you, I heal you, and to gift to the water, may you heal me, gives a symbiotic relationship. Now the water's working for you, but your body's also working for the water, so that when it's eliminated, the water is eliminated properly into the toilet or outside, whatever that is. And we've actually, I work with Fiona Gardner. She is very undermined. People should know about her as much as Veda. She does the exact same thing that Veda does. Well, she looks at crystallography of urine. So it comes out pretty much the same. People urinate, and she does a drying technique instead of freezing. So she dries it, and as it dries, she sees the crystal. She sees plasma come up. So depending on the light and the crystals, she knows where the person is. Now, somebody who has blessed and prayed on water, done water before it, will show differently from water coming out of the body. So we can actually see the water and the person has changed in and out, going out. So check her out, Fiona Gardner, amazing urinologist, specialist, one of the only ones in the world. But she really is showing what is happening coming out. Now we could also do Shignite. Me personally, I'm a quartz girl. I love popping quartz into my water and just saying something to quartz, saying something to water, and it's huge. One of the ways also that I encourage people to drink water is to run it through plasma. I have a plasma wand that I have, and I'll just stick the plasma wand. It's just a facial wand. And I just put it right in my water, and you can see the plasma coming out. Not only that, you can stick a light bulb up to your water bottle, and the light bulb will shine. So you can actually see the energy going through. So running plasma makes sure that your water is very much alive, it's very energized, and that it's sparking ready to go for you. So those are a few things. Now, of course, anybody who gathers their own water, that you go to the springs, that's what I do. I go to the springs and I gather my own water. The relationship is going to be different because you're gathering it, you're getting it yourself, and there's a different appreciation than just getting it out of your sink. So I also encourage people to get their own water if they can, go to your natural springs. And the beauty about the natural springs is you're on the land that you're living on, you're eating and drinking on that land, but the water that comes from the land that you live on very much adapts better to your chemicals rather than something that I would buy in the store. So there's even a deeper connection that happens when, I'm gardening or when I'm taking the water from the lakes or the springs, because I'm getting it from my land and the land that works with me, that knows my body and knows what we both need. And depending on where you are and where you live, there are different substances that you need off of the land that you're living on. And so it helps with that relationship too. The reason that we take for granted everything is because we're not doing it ourselves. And the more that you can do it yourself, the more you're always going to have a better relation and a better biofeedback with that thing that you're getting.
Wow. Well, thank you. I have one of those Mayu spinning things that creates the vortex in the water. Do you recommend those at all?
100% do. 100% do. And the studies that I've personally done, it has shown a difference. Again, that is creating the water to be electric. And so any electricity that you can get feeds the water sparks, it creates new vibrations, and those higher vibrations going into your body is going to knock a lot of illnesses out. Also, with the vortex, we have seen that it actually pulls the molecules apart differently, and it gives, when it enters into your body, you have better, the body is receiving it better. And there's something that happens in that I have yet to understand, but there is a purification because it's the same water going in and then the water coming out, but it does purify somehow in that vortex. And then, of course, Celtic salt, people have heard that one. Don't put it in your water, put it in your mouth. Wait for 5 minutes and then take it. That's the proper way, to take that water down, and you'll be getting that a lot more. Freezing your water really takes out a lot of bacteria. So if you freeze it and then you take it out and you drink it, a lot of bacterias they love the wet and the heat and the darkness. But if you give them cold, they'll end up dying in that, because the wetness, although it's water, ice isn't as wet, and there's a lot to that to be understood, but it does take away a lot of that bacteria. Another thing would be, putting a UV light in it can help with bacteria. Putting music around your water beforehand, that also helps too. So there's various
Beautiful.
ways.
Yeah. It's so empowering. There's so many things that we can do. I love it.
Yeah.
So if we go back to the work with the beyond verbal autists, you've talked about the telepathy that you have. We went into that quite a bit in the last episode, but we didn't really talk a lot about if that happens anytime, or if it's only when you're interacting. You've got your Zooms that you do frequently on YouTube, and it's getting everybody together. So when we were talking about the spark, you were kind of saying, yeah, I can see them in my field. So it sounds like they're around a lot, but do you kind of invoke them? Do you use them in that sort of a way, or is it they're just with you all day?
They're with me all the time. It never actually stops. And I'll be, full disclosure. If I want it to stop, I have to eat the most unhealthy food or have a cocktail. And that's
Really?
really the only way that I
Wow.
can get it to stop. I mean, even sleeping, I've been woken up 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning to them talking, call my mom now, my body's not reacting. And it is really a nonstop. It's nonstop the with the telepathic, with the angelic, with everything. And that's where I tell people, like, I'm not here for the fad. This is my life, And so I get I get pretty offended when, spirituality or channeling or telepathy suddenly is a fad, because I'm like, this isn't fad. It's a way of living, people. And it is. And once you get into that, you can't get out. It's like spirituality. Once you see something, you can't unsee it. You can try to go back to normalcy, but you can't. But this is my life. I would say this at the same time, that, and I think we did talk about it in the last one, that I I was my vision was taken for a week, and it's so lonely. I was so lonely, and it was so much room in my head to think, that it was uncomfortable for me. So I find a lot of comfort in just being able to, well, hey, I'm sorting papers. Who's sorting with me? But yeah, they're always there. Always, there's never a disconnect.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. You can't like put the toothpaste back in the tube. I was thinking about that actually just yesterday, where it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much. And like you say, once you know, you can't unknow. So it's really like trying to get that toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Just brush your teeth and go with the flow, you
that's
know?
right. Yeah, it's out now. Yeah. So, are there any? I just wanted to hold space if there's any autists that want to be heard now with what we've talked about, or anything, or not. I've got other questions too, but as we're on this topic, are there any messages or anything that wants to come through from them?
Well, I mean, you say that and there's like 100 of them just showing up in the room, like, "Well, I got this message, I got this message, I got this." The main message, if like, I'm just gonna just give me a moment.
Sure.
I just wanted to see, like, what is the one of the main ones. Okay, so this one, Elsa's really coming through on this one. So I'll give this credit over to Elsa because now she's really stepping up on this one. Uh we came to this world with a choice to be exactly who we are, to know that we were not going to be accepted into society, that we were not going to be seen as the way other people are seen. We wouldn't be heard or even looked at, acknowledged. And when we were looked at and acknowledged, most of the time it was going to be something wrong. I made this choice and I came here. Sometimes I regret this choice in my human body. I wish that I would have chose to speak. I wish that I would have said something, that I would have better control over my body. And this is a fight that I have, not because I hate myself, but because I realize the world does not see me as the way that I truly am. And I realize that I picked a bigger task for myself than what I could actually take on myself. And this is so many of my friends. They made the choice to come here, to not speak, to look different, to act different, to think differently. And therefore, the world saw us so different that they forgot that we were humans. They didn't accept us. But I come to you now, letting you know that we are here and we chose this path for you. We chose to take this path because we know that there are people that don't fit into the box in this lifestyle. Many people don't look the way society wants them to look. They don't act the way that society wants them to act. They don't think in the way that society tries to force us to think. And those are the people that we came for. The weird ones, the unseen ones, the ones who chose to go against the stream because God knew that they would be strong enough, that they would be the ones to force people to see that not everyone is the same. We would be the ones that the world would look up to. We are the ones that the world should be speaking to. You know the old story of the nerd in the class. No one talks to, no one sees him, but who gets ahead in the end? So I ask the world to take another look at us, a look outside of our bodies, a look outside of our behaviors, and to take a look inside of our mind, to ask us what happens there. We would like to start working with the scientists and the doctors. I'm going to be one of the first spelling neuroscientists. And I'm going to do it on my own without my mom because I'm going to show the world that I can do this on my own, that me and my friends are there, that we have abilities. And I hope to be an inspiration to the entire world, to show them that what you look like, what your abilities are, is not who you intended to be. Rise up, look into yourself, look into your heart, and look into your mind. Stop looking to the outside world for affirmation of what God has already given you. All of the information is within that. When you see an autist, she's kind of joking around here, but she's like, when you see an autist, know that we know what you think. We know what you do. We know your true potential. That you might see us on the outside, but we see you on the inside. Just think about that next time you look and want to judge. Because you could ask the question, why is she like that? Or you could look at me and ask the question, why does the world turn? And depending on your expression, my expression will be reactive to that. So you could either learn to be somebody who stays within the limitations, or you can learn to be somebody who can dive outside of the limitations so that the world can meet new expectations.
Wow. Well, thank you, Elsa. That's beautiful. And it got me thinking about the telepathy tapes specifically and the huge, you mentioned it as a fad, where it's like, oh, well, this is the latest thing. It's because it blew up. I mean, it just exploded. And it makes me think of the possibilities with timeline jumping because it was not there and then suddenly it was there. I personally, this time last year, a little bit earlier, I couldn't go a week without about 5 people texting me to say, you would love this. Have you heard about this? Have you listened to the telepathy tapes? I mean, I was getting it constantly. And it became a joke, it was like, yes, it's amazing, and I'm sending it off to people too. But it got so many people thinking about consciousness, thinking about the things that I'm always going on about. That's why people were like, you're going to love this. They're talking your language, and I'm going, oh my God, everybody's talking about this now. And oh my God, it's changing their perception of what is possible, not only for who the autists really are and the incredible gift that they are, this unseen part of the population, that has been discarded, and where doctors are telling the families to forget about it. They're not in there. And then through this journey with the telepathy tapes, we're learning, oh my gosh, not only are they in there, but they're like geniuses. It's like, it's mind-boggling just how much is in there. And so the fact that it was turning people's it went so deep to be able to get people to understand reality in a different way. And it happened so fast. I mean, and from my perspective, it just happened all at once. And it's just amazing. And it makes you also think about, we're in this rapid acceleration, we're in this time of human evolution. And one of the things that a lot of prophets might say, or people who kind of look into the future to say what's coming and what's going to happen, a lot of it is just be ready to be surprised. What you think is not what is happening. And we're seeing that in so many ways. We've got
Yeah.
with Epstein, with, all of this stuff. It's like, God, what we thought Hollywood was, what we thought the government was, what we thought the finance system was, what we thought the Federal Reserve was, all of these things that people are looking, they're like, oh my God, it's an illusion. And it's way different from what we have been sold.
Yeah.
And then we've got this population of people who we've been told to disregard, and that it's, they're not in there or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, not only are they there, but they can really help to carry us into another octave of consciousness. So it's like, it's surprising, and the possibility, the potential that's there is amazing. And I just love that timeline aspect, because I think it's a great example of like a timeline shift where it's like, okay, before the telepathy tapes, so many people weren't even thinking about consciousness. And then the telepathy tapes comes and it was so hot and it exploded, and people are like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do with this information. I've never thought about this before.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. No, well, in podcasts like you podcasts like Alex Zach, even Joe Rogan. I mean, you guys are really pushing it and saying, you know what, let's get to the truth. And so it's people like you too that are in that evolution. I mean, soul evolution, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
that are also helping with that expansion. And that's why people are coming to you to say, whoa, did you hear about this? Because they already know that you were already on that bandwagon. You were one of them, driving it like, yeah, okay, yeah, get on here with us now, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, in the last episode, we talked about the work that you've been doing with the land in Minnesota, and led us into the mushroom invention. So again, listeners, if you haven't heard about this, shame on you. You go back and listen to 554, but it's really, really amazing. And that related to the oil pipelines in the American Indian tribal lands. What do you see as the trajectory for our future relating to the health of Earth and humanity's ability to overcome corruption and greed in favor of life?
Oof. Oof, that's a hard one because the trajectory as it stands right now, if I am checking in, is not so good for Earth. We're going to continue with development, continue with mining and oil spills, corporations, so much more gas is coming. I mean, we know that as it stands right now, people are unsafe to come up with ecological inventions that are going to be beneficial for the whole. And we can look at, the water cars or the quartz cars, the used oils. I mean, all of the people that came up with those ideas, dead. We can look at free energy, dead. Anyone that's ever come up with that. So unfortunately, in this greed, power, money driven world, it goes against the agenda. So, tearing apart Earth so it can't support us and it can't heal us helps make more nonprofits. If we are not healthy in our body and more chemicals, I mean, chemtrails, I believe, are a real thing. I see it especially over farmlands, and I'm not seeing them over cities, very specifically, very gridded out. And now that's making us sick. So we're in America in a place that benefits off of the whole being sick, whether that's sick water, that's sick land, that's sick anything, that there is a drive to continue the sickness because sick people consume. They consume the medication, they consume the therapies, they consume the water, they consume the herbs, they consume it all. And so, as long as you're sick, you're consuming and you're not living so much. So, as it stands right now, people are depending on said pharmaceuticals. They're depending on their cars. They're not ecologically living smart. I mean, even one thing, we're looking at the landfills that we could part things out. So in the trajectory that we've chosen for it to be, it looks like it's going to get worse. However, we have the ability to make the choice to start picking up after ourselves, start even even simple things. I mean, when you're in my house, we have, it's very confusing for people, but we have compost, trash, burn, and recycling. And the reason is because a pizza box can't be put into the recycling, but it can be burned really fast. So all of these things we burn, I mean, we go through 1 to 2 trash bags a month, and we have a very large family. I mean, I have 3 grandkids that are here all the time, 2 daughters that are here all the time, me and my husband, 6 cats, 1 dog. So we go through stuff. But what we go through, we choose very wisely. Is it going to go with the environment? Even things such as where we get our animals from. People don't understand that that's a huge epidemic that's happening right now. Is that going to your local meat shop where again, the animals were on the land that you're living from, but they're more organic, they're processed differently, and you get it right away is different from these big cow farms where now there's so much methane that's happening that they're needing to punch holes into the cows, and the cows are wearing these bags outside of them because it's so much methane. And this is happening in the large meat processing centers, where McDonald's gets their stuff, or um, where Wendy's does, Walmart, those kind of things. So we have overprocessed methane. Now we're looking at, again, we're trying to drive the animals, but in driving the animals, we're driving the land out of processing. So thinking intentionally about, where am I actually getting my food? Can I get it from a local source garden? Can I process my trash a little differently? And even thinking about ideas, children are having these ideas in these schools. What can we do with the garbages? And I'm seeing huge results from the kids, because I work a lot with the science, and do some science with these children, and these would work. So to take some of these inventions and come up with like an incinerator that can go into each home. I mean, you'd still be consumering, and it's still consumerism, but then you're also being able to break it down so you're able to use the lands. I feel that people can consciously step into a place where they can be better with earth, where their relationship with earth is better, their body's working better with earth, and earth can be cared for and can care for us. I absolutely believe that's achievable, because the things that we need to do are so simple. They're just simple things. And people, if willing to take that simple and willing to stand up and protest, no, a corporation's not coming here, no, this was a national forest, we're not going to allow deforestation. Even the way that we plant our seeds, I mean, they take away the forest, and then they go plant all pine trees. What forest have you ever seen that is just one plant? So just thinking about things of, well, let's plant a pine tree, but then let's also plant an oak tree and maybe a maple tree. What are the other trees that are there? If we consciously start thinking about earth, we're going to make a difference. And that's my whole documentary with Deborah Anderson, Sheila Darcy, Zach Bush. I mean, that our whole thing is trying to come up with, how can we work with earth, and how can we awaken it and help take care of it, because it's our living system. If earth is gone, it's gone. Do we have the ability? Yes. Right now, we have so much laziness, though, and so much money coming from a earth that is being destroyed, that we would have to consciously change the minds of people and show them, could it be done? Yes. Do I see that we could potentially still have that future? Yes. But the way that the future is going right now, we need people to get out of laziness. We need to get them into a state of awareness. We need to make, compost systems a lot easier for people that live in apartments, or make compost dumpsters. I mean, we need to be burning some of this trash. We need to be changing over, the forest. We need to not be making so many clothes, and people, we need to go to Goodwill a lot more rather than buying clothes. Clothes and water bottles are the biggest problems,
Really?
with pollution right now. And so if you can do clothes swaps, get, your water cups and carry these around rather than the bottles, that alone would change so much.
Wow. Beautiful.
That was a big rant, so
No, but
sorry.
it's
But
really, really helpful, and a lot of
yeah.
practical things in there too. So that's beautiful.
Well, we could even be building. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the plastic bricks that are happening with, you can brick bottles. So you get the water bottles, and you take your plastic and you cut your plastic and you fill it with the bricks. Or, I mean, you fill the plastic bottles. And I mean, so much plastic fits into these bottles. And then you can actually make structured living systems with it. Africa's doing it all over the place, is that they're finding these bottles and they're picking up the plastic, they're putting it in, and then they just mud the rest of their house in between the bottles, and it's making better insulation than any other insulation that all the rest of these houses have. Keeps it cool, it keeps it warm when it needs to. Greenhouse, bottle greenhouses. People are making greenhouses with water bottles. I mean, amazing things. Look into upcycling. I love upcycling. It's phenomenal.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Melissa, this has been amazing. I've loved connecting with you again. Please tell people how they can connect with you.
Okay. Good luck. No, I'm just joking. I have a lot of people reaching out right now. Euphoricsource.com would be the place to go. All of my contact information is on there. Join us. Every week I'm active on Let's Be Telepathy, BEE, like the B, not BE.
The
It's
Melissa
Let's Be
B.
Melissa B.
Yeah.
Melissa, yeah, Let's Be Telepathy. Bees Communicate. Go to that. You'll see a weekly schedule and you can get online to talk to us about that. I'm booked out for the next 6 months with appointments and healing and filming. I will die down after the 6 months, though, people. So just if you could be patient with me, I'll be there. But yeah, go to euphoricsource.com. You can check out Melissa Jolly Graves. You'll see me on Google. Contact me that way too. Come to my office. But yeah. And don't
Beautiful.
be afraid. Don't be afraid. And if you pester me too much, that's okay. I tell people, text me 7 times before I get back to you sometimes.
Perseverance. All right.
Perseverance wins always for me. I'm one of those, I see my phone and then I have it for like an hour. I do everything. And then I go into sheer panic attack because it's so much energy that I leave my phone in another room. Sometimes it takes a week for me to respond because I energetically really want to be there. And, yeah, so, like spirit will show up when I need to.
Well, bless you, Melissa. Thank you again for coming here. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. Sincerely, I'm so happy that you're here on this planet. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for being you and doing what you're doing too, because you're really making a difference and inspiring people to become more consciously aware and become aware within themselves and their body. So thank you so much. And questions are great. I always love your energy.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Soul Elevation. If someone in your life would be inspired or uplifted by what you heard today, please take a moment to share it with them. These are the kinds of conversations that ripple out and elevate collective consciousness. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the powerful episodes ahead. Your presence, energy, and support truly help amplify this mission of raising frequency and anchoring in a more awakened humanity. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you for the next episode of Soul Elevation.